grab the asshole on the 14th floor where the bathroom door don't lock. So happy we don't gotta worry about the cops. We could all get arrested for this, but when the bodies mix, I don't give a shit tonight. Alright. Now she walks in the bedroom fast, despite all the noise from the crowd. Now she's bedless on the bathroom sink. Her mother would be so proud. Gets on a deed and there's a line to go pee, but the bathroom looks like a war zone.
Welcome in to episode 199 of Fired Up Sports. Check us out at firedupsports.com. I'm Mike Gillette. Joining me as always, Mark Ramos. What's going on, man?
Same old, man. Trying to stay dry right now.
Yes. It seems
Weather
like we
crazy.
have a week full of rain ahead of us.
Yeah, it's been
It was thundering like 10 minutes ago, so hopefully, the electric doesn't go out or anything.
I was worried about that, really.
Yes.
I mean, we're already having issues with connection and mics and all that stuff. So.
Yes, and also, like, I have a design. There's the big design flaw, and you're going to see me trying to mess with something here on my TV. But, like, I have a big design flaw with the Apple products and the Mac because my mouse is almost dead. And I'll see if you can see it. For some reason, they put the charger on the bottom of the mouse. So I can't, right now I can't use it because I have to charge it.
Yeah.
It's useless when it's plugged in. So I just got to wait for it to be, I can't use it while it's charged. It doesn't make any sense. That's my, why would you put it on the bottom? Can't you, can you put it on the side or the top or?
Yeah.
There's perfect room, right there, right on the side. Just put it right there.
Yeah.
That's my flaw I have with Apple.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
It is. Now I'm going to try to finagle this. All right, there we go. Now we're back in action. Well, I feel like we're just kind of waiting for the Phillies got a late one tonight. Probably 9:35 again ish, right?
Yeah.
Which I would obviously prefer over the 10 o'clock starts out there. Give me 9:30. I could live with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can live with a 9:30. When it starts to get like NBA Summer League in Vegas, they're starting late, and it's
yeah.
I love basketball, but I don't love basketball that much.
Especially meaningless basketball.
Yeah, exhibition basketball with these guys, trying to, get a G League spot. You know what I mean? I'm not staying up watching that.
Definitely not. But I mean, I guess it's kind of a good spot to start.
Yeah.
With the Sixers, we got our first kind of glimpse of VJ Edgecombe, and I mean, it was a pretty good debut.
Yeah.
Against the Utah Jazz and Ace Bailey. Kind of the perfect start to their careers.
Our good buddy there, Ace.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a meaningless game and stuff like that, but just it was nice to have a game right out of the chute in a situation like that, where as a fan, the fan part of us, we can feel vindicated that the Sixers maybe made the right choice there, because I think Edgecombe strikes me as the type of kid that there is no basketball game when he steps on the floor that doesn't matter. He's going to go out there and he's going to give 110%. Also, very much like the Sixers, I think he's now dealing with a thumb problem.
Yeah.
So he's not playing tonight, and I saw a lot of people online making jokes. They're like, "Oh, this thumb thing's going to turn into a traumatic injury to his hand or something like that." You know what I mean?
I mean, it's going to happen to any franchise. It's the Philadelphia 76ers.
It may as well be. I mean, why not at this point? They're the kings of having things that I've never even heard of, medical terminology and things like that thrown around about guys. But no, I mean, that first game was a lot of fun, and to see him thoroughly outplay Bailey was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to get up for those games, but I mean, that was a fun one to get a first look at him.
Yeah, for sure. No, he definitely played well, and I mean, I feel like we're going to talk about it ad nauseum for their entire careers at this point, is the Edgecombe versus Bailey, and they're going to be linked together, obviously. But Bailey just seems like the guy who just doesn't necessarily give a shit, especially in like a meaningless summer league game. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't care, couldn't
yeah.
care less.
It's such yeah, and he really probably doesn't. And I mean, he probably is looking at it like, I'm just trying to get through this. This is something I have to do. I know I'm going to play, kind of thing. Out in Utah, like I would imagine Bailey's going to he's going to have a more defined role. Whereas, like I think Edgecombe's probably going to he'll be a part of the rotation for sure. He'll have to work himself into like a starting lineup, but provided everybody's healthy here, of course. But yeah, I mean, like Edgecombe's probably going out there. VJ's probably going out there trying to show them that he was worth that spot. Whereas like a guy like Bailey, it doesn't matter to him either way. He's gonna get his time in Utah because he's not really competing with a lot of guys out there for spots.
Right. You also heard about like the humble beginnings Edgecomb's come from, and like he's kind of worked for it all his entire life. So like he's never gonna take the easy way out. He's always gonna kind of bust his ass. Like you said, every game is gonna matter to him.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that'll jive really well in Philadelphia. Like we'll love
Totally.
for that. Um, but I don't know that like we could have taken Bailey and the things that like it's one thing when it's Utah, right? Like because you're coming to Utah and it's like yeah, like I'm sure they support the Jazz when they're good, you know what I mean? Um,
Yep.
but like the spotlight would be so much greater here, especially after all the like, oh, he didn't want to work out for them or he prefers not to be
Oh
drafted.
yeah, I mean the second the pick's made, he's getting booed on the draft floor. Like the second the second he makes any sort of like I don't know bad play or says the wrong thing, like he would get crucified for it without a
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like that. It was so funny though to see that play out like that in that first game. I'm not going to tell anybody like it's you know it doesn't mean anything in terms of like trajectory of their careers, in one summer league game, but it did seem to have a little bit of juice on it in
It's a
terms
nice
of
little appetizer.
yeah, yeah, and not that the Sixers will see the Jazz a whole lot, but like when they do, I think it's something that'll always be like you said about the picks, Mike, like because they're so closely linked, and Bailey has somewhat of a tumultuous relationship with the Sixers, if you could call it that, with the not working out for them and all that. So they'll be connected, through their entire careers. But that was fun. That was fun to see. I mean, he all those things that we hear about him were on display in that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He got to throw down that vicious dunk. We know he's like a
Yep.
pretty ferocious dunker, and um, yeah, I mean, it just really feels like the fit feels like the fit seems like fits like a glove, with Edgecombe and Philly. So it was fun though.
Yep. And then the Sixers obviously are a little I'm gonna use the word busy lightly, but like they're trying to finalize their roster, sign Kyle Lowry to a 1-year deal.
Mhm.
I mean it's probably it kind of just makes sense. Just filling out the bench at this point. There's really not much. There's really not much there, right?
No, it's weird because like they also brought. I think they're bringing back Eric Gordon too,
Yeah.
and when you consider like Maxie McCain, Lowry, Gordon, I guess you would consider I consider Edgecombe a guard. And then when you factor in Quentin Grimes, whenever that allegedly that potentially gets done, like they're gonna have a lot of guards. Like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like and to pay two spots, even though it's not like a huge deal, but like to pay two spots for like veteran leadership types, um, you know, maybe it's not a big deal, but maybe later as the season kind of rolls along, you're going to want that spot
Yeah.
for somebody who can kind of contribute more than they can contribute at this stage of their careers. But yeah, it's a small thing. I mean, Kyle's finishing up his career, obviously a Philly guy,
Yep.
so he's finishing up here. So like I can't imagine him and Gordon are going to be around for much longer. So
Yeah. And then you mentioned it, the Quentin Grimes thing. sounds like it's gonna get done. It's just a matter of like when or how much and all that stuff. But like the recent reports is he's almost certainly gonna stay a Sixer.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, once they put the finishing touches on that thing, I mean, like it'll be the end of a pretty productive offseason, I think, for Daryl Morey and the Sixers, and then we'll just wait for camp and see how it all kind of comes together. And it sounds like PG and Embiid will be there, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I've it's obviously well documented that like not just me, but a large portion of the fan base, and we've said it on this show before, like Daryl Morey, I still am surprised he's running things or whatever, and but they clearly have faith in him and all that. This has to be the final straw. Like it's a final chance to kind of prove that you are the guy, make the right decision. If you have another lackluster season, like this is the last chance.
Yeah, yeah, especially this year, like when you consider the shape the East is in. Like
Yep.
the Sixers should make the playoffs, like provided they don't have like everybody gets injured like they happened last year. Like they should make the playoffs. The East is not all that deep. The West is a far superior conference
Yep.
in terms of like um, there's a lot of like killers out in the West, but there's not as many in the East. And I think if the Sixers are healthy, they should 100% be in the mix for a playoff spot. And when you get to the postseason, even though this team hasn't had a lot of success, I mean, um, you never know. Team goes down. We saw that this year, where the Pacers kind of became a team of destiny. A couple injuries to key guys for Boston and things like that, and it opened up an opportunity for the Pacers to really kind of like go all out and show people what their team's all about. And yeah, I mean, like that's certainly possible for the Sixers this year. But if they were to miss altogether, I mean, that would be. I'd have to imagine there'd be some sweeping changes coming to the front
Right.
office. So
Yeah, they should make it, barring health. But like you said, they're the Sixers. Then anything that can go wrong will. So
yeah, yeah,
it's all a matter of health because we know when Embiid is healthy, he's an elite level talent. He's a franchise type player. He's one of the best in the league. It's just a matter of if he can stay healthy.
yeah,
And if he can't, they're gonna have some problems. If he can, then like you said, they'll make the playoffs and hopefully make a deep run.
yeah, yeah. Pretty much.
So, all right. Moving on to the Flyers. There, 'cause I didn't have. There's nothing else Sixers you wanted to talk on, right?
No, no, I don't think
Okay.
so.
All right, moving on to the Flyers. Little bit of business. Kind of the last little bit of business. I feel like extending Cam York 5 years, 5.1 million per year. I feel like we kind of saw there was going to be a deal happening close or soon because obviously the deadline for arbitration came and went, and neither side elected to go to arbitration. So you kind of realize, all right, well, if you're not going to arbitration, you guys are fairly close. They announced a deal the other day. Like I said, 5 years, 5.1 AAV. What were your thoughts on the deal?
I really like it. I'm a big like Cam York guy. I think he's a really. I think his game's kind of become underappreciated with the fact that like he kind of rode shotgun with Sanheim on the top pair last year, and Sanheim's more of like a rover type. So, Cam kind of settled into this like defensive first, just move the puck kind of role, and I thought he did well at that. And I think as the cap goes up here, the NHL is expecting a big increase in salary cap and things like that over the next couple of seasons. To have him at that number with no trade protection, I think is a really digestible thing. And if he were to like, if the offensive part of his game comes along, I mean, like that deal could be a real steal, for the Flyers. So, no, I really like it. I think it was, I think the 5 years shows that he was, he wants to be here, and that's key. Like for a guy in his mid 20s, that deal takes him up to I think he's 29. So there's still opportunities to quote unquote get paid later on, but No, I really like it. I think this was a nice piece of business for the Flyers, and I think that also puts a bow on a pretty productive summer for them as well. Um, so
Yeah,
I
I
like
don't.
it.
I like the idea of Cam York. I don't know that he's progressed as well as I hoped he would. I guess, but with that being
Mhm.
said, like you look at the going rate for defensemen like this offseason in particular, and the prices have been astronomical. Like you had Ivan Provorov sign 7 or 8 years for 8.5 million or whatever it was, or 9 million, whatever it was.
Mhm.
Um, I will take Cam York at 5.1 million for the next 5 years, and Ivan Provorov at 8 plus or 9 plus for the next 7. Like 5 million bucks for 5 years. Like you said, the cap's going up. I've heard it could go up to like 110. I think it's like at 92 this year or something. I heard it could go up to like 110 in the next couple of years. Like it's going to shoot up. Um, so 5 million for a second pair defenseman. I mean, you really can't beat that price, and it
No.
allows you to add other another facet to your team.
Yeah, yeah. I should ask you, when you say like you like the idea of Cam York, what do you mean by that? Like the player archetype?
Yeah, I like so when he first came up, it's funny because I kind of was hit or miss on the player when he first came up because like he was looked incredibly small, which obviously he is, and they've been a small team. He's been incredibly small, but I like the way he skated, and I liked his offensive abilities, and I feel like we just haven't seen that yet, like the offensive breakout. Like it's
Yeah.
just kind of, and maybe it's more opportunities, right? Because he's never when he's here, he's never really been on the power play. They've really never given him the opportunity to be on the power play. It's been like a Sanheim or Jamie Drysdale last season. Like they really haven't give Cam the opportunity to kind of show his offensive game. But I think offensively, I just haven't seen the player I thought he was going to be.
Yeah. No, I mean he was definitely more offensive oriented, I think, coming out of Michigan,
Yeah.
and he was definitely an offensive guy at at the collegiate level, and then for the United States developmental program, he played on some stacked developmental program teams, but um, I was surprised by that last year too, like that they didn't try that with the power play kind of being so stagnant.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I do wonder too. It's been well documented that last season, Cam York and then head coach John Tortorella had some issues that may have led to a dismissal. Uh,
Yes.
and, York was also slapped on the wrist for that.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes I wonder, like if that has to do, because I think especially like a part of like a particular part of the Flyers fan base really loves and still likes John Tortorella.
Sure. Yeah.
So I wonder if like, they view him as like the spoiled, entitled kid that kind of stepped out of line with the coach, and that has something to do with it. Like,
Personally, I love the fire. I love the passion. I love giving it back to him. Like if you
yeah,
disagree with him, be confident in yourself. And it is a fine line because like today's athletes, you talk about the entitlement, and they're spoiled, and it's the leagues are turning into players leagues, and there's no structure anymore. But like at the same time, if you feel like you aren't getting the either respect or the play time or whatever, like you just disagree with how things are being run.
yeah,
I have no problems at all with Cam. I like the fire that he brought, especially because like it sounds like he did cross the line in whatever way, shape, or form.
yeah,
Um, I kind of like that out of him.
yeah. After he signed the deal, I mean, he did media. It may have been today that he
I
spoke
did
to the
not
media.
watch it. Okay.
Yeah, and I only saw some clips from some beat reporters that had shared it, and some quotes. And he seems like a very confident kid,
Hmm.
like very confident in what he can do, even though he hasn't shown like, even though we haven't seen that offensive part of his game. It was very, very like clear that he feels that he can contribute offensively, like, and I love that too. You know what I mean? Like, is if it manifests itself in a positive way on in your play, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with thinking you're the guy if you can go out there and perform like the guy. Like
Yeah.
especially on a power play unit. Um, and I hope that Tockett sees him in that role. I would like to see him there. Him and Jamie both, I think, could quarterback power play units for the Flyers. Maybe split them up on different units, and because we're kind of like way past the two D man power play setup. I mean,
Yeah,
most teams run one. Some don't even run. Some will
right.
go 5 forwards.
Yeah, which is a
Um,
wild move. I
yeah, it
like
is.
it, but it's a wild move.
Yeah. So, but no, I really like it for the Flyers. I think Briere really did a nice job. I think of like the Flyers didn't go out there spending crazy this summer. They didn't do anything super over the top or super aggressive, but they weren't really sitting back. Excuse me. They weren't really sitting back and um, they weren't sitting back. They were kind of like they weren't outwardly aggressive, but they got done what they needed to get done.
Yeah,
Um, and then of
and
course the Zegers trade,
yep.
was a nice piece of it too. But like it kind of like it was an appetizer of sorts. I think for setting the table for a large increase in the cap next year, and the Flyers have some projected space. Maybe that's an opportunity to go do something significant or more significant than what they've done in previous off seasons.
Yeah, and you look at like the 2026 free agent class, and I know everybody talks about the Kirill Kaprizovs and the McDavids and the Eichels, and like it would be nice to have one of those guys, obviously, but like you look at what happened this offseason.
Hmm.
All the big names that were supposed to be there July 1st, and then like the day or two before they all resign.
Hmm.
So it's like
Yeah.
I don't know that you could be like putting all your eggs on like the 2026 free agent basket and like yeah, having money's nice, but I wouldn't rely on that to get you out of the hole you're in.
No, and I hope that they don't think that.
Yeah,
For their sake and for the organization's sake. I hope they're not thinking, you know, oh, like, because there's really like, and I believe this across the board in all sports, like, there's never like, there's a lot, we talk about like the timeline a lot. Like, you always hear that in sports, right? Like, especially during like a rebuilding phase, like, oh, the timeline, this has to fit our timeline.
yeah,
And
yeah,
as long as you're not talking about a player that's like on the wrong side of 35, I'm always just kind of like, well, there's probably not really a better time than the present to get the player, you know what I mean? Like, and figure it out
yeah, right.
as
Because
you
that
go.
opportunity to get that player might never come up again.
Yeah, like if you're sitting there, right? If you're the Flyers or you're anybody, and you're sitting there and you're being like, you know what? We haven't done anything in the last three off seasons, but the summer of 2026, Connor McDavid's going to be a free agent, and we're going to outbid every team to get Connor McDavid. Well, number one, he has to want to come play for you.
Yep.
Number two, he's Connor McDavid, and he can call a shot. He can go anywhere he wants to go. So maybe he
Yep.
really only ideally has like three destinations if he were to leave the place he wants to go, the place he's currently playing. You know what I mean? And it's
Yep.
like, if your plan is to wait for Connor McDavid to become available, yeah, that's everybody's plan. That's the
Right.
whole league's
Yes.
plan. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like every team's going to inquire about that.
Yes.
Um,
Just ask the Buffalo Sabres. Where it got them trying to tank an entire franchise just to land Connor McDavid, only to not get Connor
to not
McDavid
get
in the
him,
lottery.
and then to trade the guy, the
Yes.
consolation prize for um, their all time like trade teams crazy. Like
Oh, it's nuts.
you got Eichel on that team, you got Ryan O'Reilly on that team, Sam Reinhart's on that team.
Yep.
It's wild how many like they're a glorified feeder system for the rest of the
Oh,
league.
it's like the Miami Marlins of the NHL. You can look at
Really?
like the Marlins had like an all star team, 10 less than 10 years ago.
Right, right, yeah, yeah, it's true.
Um, and then I guess the one big piece of news is obviously everybody in the NHL is looking ahead to next year's draft. Gavin McKenna coming to the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, how
Penn
about
State chooses Penn State. I mean, he I think becomes the best player and hype wise. Obviously, he still has to play there, but like the best player to join the NCAA.
yeah, yeah. This is like we're talking about McDavid. Like this is like McDavid Crosby esque type talent.
Yep.
choosing to go to the NCAA for for
Now
presumably a year.
they couldn't when they were in there. Obviously, like the whole new rule with the
Yeah,
CHL players can go down to college, just started. So like those players couldn't. But like you're right, it's like that level of player. And another rule benefits Penn State. The whole NIL thing of the last couple of years, like without
yeah,
NIL, Penn State, Gavin McKenna is not going to Penn State.
right.
He's just not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's going to maybe he may
He's going to be a glorified sales guy for
yes.
you know they're going to sell tons of pictures with him
Oh
in the
sure,
jersey.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And no, I mean it's a big deal. Penn State's hockey program has seen incredible growth over the
Yep.
last few years, and so I mean, like, yeah, that's a huge deal. Um, you know, I think beyond being in Pennsylvania for Gavin McKenna, I would like to keep him out of Western Pennsylvania if at all possible. Um, and if not Eastern Pennsylvania, maybe someone far away, like somewhere on the West Coast. If not, in
Right. Yes.
Eastern Pennsylvania. But no, I
I
mean it's an exciting thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's he'll go to the other franchise that's associated with Terry Pagula, and that is the Buffalo Sabres. So
Oh my god, yeah, they might have to look into some tampering there.
yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that seems like a deep cut, like a very
Yes, yes,
very
he's starting early. Like,
yeah. He's like Pakul is like I've had enough of this. Like
yes,
we're
let's get
rigging this in
Gavin
our favor.
McKenna in here. Yes. I mean, Penn State easily becomes must-watch TV now. Especially like, to bring it back to the Flyers, especially if like Porter Martone goes there as well. Like that's kind of the rumor is, will he, try to make the camp or make the team out of camp, or will he maybe look at college options? But I feel like he's got to if he wants to go the college route, it's got to be soon. Like
Yeah,
he can't go to camp and not make the team and be like, oh no, I want to go play college. Like once you're in camp, you're in camp, and then at
right,
that point, the Flyers can either keep him or send him back to juniors. But
right.
like once you're in camp, you can't go back to college. So he's got to
Mhm.
kind of make the decision fairly soon, I would think.
Yeah, it's gonna have to come down pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, like immediately, if McKenna, like, if they end up putting together like this bomb squad at Penn State, um, it's going to be like, you know, uh, like you said, must watch TV, especially for hockey fans. But it's going to be like a collegiate like version of like LeBron going to the Heat. Like it's going
Yeah.
to be like that kind of thing where
Or
like
like
you're going to get
imagine like I don't know if how much of a show in Michael Misa is to make the Sharks, but like imagine him also going to play with his brother at Penn State. Like
yeah.
he'd be nuts.
The Mises, McKenna, and then Martone
Yes.
commits. I mean, it would be like that's as close to like a Bosch, Wade, and LeBron
Yeah,
uh,
and it's a team
pairing.
that just got to the Frozen Four and like didn't lose anybody. It's the same exact team.
Yeah,
Just
they're bringing a lot of
add Gavin McKenna.
yeah, they're bringing like a lot of guys back. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean like that's a really cool deal. Um, and for the last couple years here, like the collegiate hockey, like the NCAA for hockey in particular has been really like it's really good.
Yeah.
The quality of play and things like that, and I think that has a lot to do with as well, like the United States Developmental Program and the growth of the game in America over the last handful of years and
It's
things
come a
like that.
long way.
It's
A
come a long
long way.
way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like this is a really cool thing, and I'll be watching for sure.
Oh, definitely. Anytime they're on, you'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
All right. So the Phillies are about to start fairly soon here. So I'm gonna keep that on the background. But All-Star Game rosters have been announced, and from the Phillies, Zach Wheeler, Kyle Schwarber. You could argue maybe Turner should have been one. Only two representatives from a first place team. I feel like doesn't happen often. I feel like usually there's at least three, but Yeah. What are your thoughts on those two guys? I mean, deserving, I think both of them, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
surprised about Turner not getting in or no?
I was surprised about Turner not going. I was also surprised too. I mean, um, Zach Wheeler deserves a lot of fanfare for how he's played this year. He really put he put an exclamation point on his All Star bid this weekend against
Yep.
Cincinnati. Um, but I thought, too, Ranger Suarez and Christopher Sanchez both could have made cases
Mm,
uh, for the All Star team. But I think Trey in particular, Trey's had a pretty good year. He's leading the NL in hits, I think, right?
yep.
Like, is he still leading the
Yep. I think
National
so.
League?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of surprising. And like you said, it was surprising for a first place team. But no, I mean, you can't really argue with Wheeler and Schwarber.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now, but like Chris Sale's on the roster, and he's out until like late August, I think, with like a fractured rib or something. So maybe I don't know how he even makes the team because that like he's been hurt for a little while. So I don't even know why they put him on this roster. So maybe he gets replaced by a Sanchez or a Ranger, or who knows.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I don't like the Turner thing is surprising. Like the more I kind of think about that, I'm like, you know, I
Well,
thought he got snubbed, but I mean, like I'm thinking about it more. Maybe I should be more upset about it. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at the roster and like you look at the shortstops that made it over him. Francisco Lindor, obviously very, very, very good.
Hmm.
A borderline elite level player nowadays. And it's obviously a New York market, so like, I guess I get it. And then you look at in the reserve spot, Ellie De La Cruz
Right.
is also there, and I mean he's kind of a freak at this point. I think people are really impressed with him and his
Yeah.
athletic ability and the way he hits, and so should Turner make it above both those guys? I don't know. I don't.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I have less of a problem with Lindor than De La Cruz. Like I think like you probably can make the case that I feel like you can make a better case that Turner could have made it over De La Cruz over than Lindor. You know.
Yeah, or like you look at the reserves and like Brendan Donovan and Eugenio Suarez made it, but then you look at like the rest of the team. Well, I guess Suarez not as much as Donovan, but like you look at like every team needs a player. Every team needs a representative. Although I
Right.
guess Arizona already has Corbin Carroll, so like Suarez doesn't count in that. But like look at Donovan, and I don't see another
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinal on this roster. So like that's their
Yeah.
one guy.
Yeah. That's where that like that's where that kind of kills you. The everybody needing a representative and things like that.
Yeah.
If you were to just take the best players who had the best first halves, I mean, it would be different.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think Turner, Sanchez, and Suarez, I think, are the three guys that I think of the most when it comes to that. But I'm really happy for Zach Wheeler. I think like this is a really, he's been brilliant at times this year. Schwarber's had a pretty significant impact in a contract year. So I mean, I'm happy for both guys. They both deserve it. And Wheeler's doing some really just wicked stuff. I mean, he was nasty on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday against the
Yep.
Mets. He was nasty. So, um, and it made me think. We were talking about this before we started the show, Mike. But I wanted to ask you, like, who. I mean, we got to think about Wheeler's legacy in a Phillies uniform at this point, right? Like, so I mean, give me your like. I want to know your. We'll keep it era. We'll keep it based in the era. Let's say like the
Okay.
top Philly starters of your era. Where do you have Zach
I was gonna
Wheeler?
say 'cause, like we didn't see the Carlton's pitch and things
Yeah,
like that. Like
like
that
I'm not
was obviously
expecting to
before my
say,
time.
oh yeah, my top guy's Grover Alexander,
Right.
1899.
Yes. Yes.
The whole
Um.
era.
It's close. I'd have to think harder and really look at the numbers. It's funny because like I've talked about this on the show before, but when they first signed, um, when they first signed Wheeler, I compared. I didn't like it. I didn't like the. I thought it was going to age very poorly, and I compared Zach Wheeler to Jake Arrieta. I thought it was going to age just like Jake Arrieta did, and
Yeah.
I was completely wrong. Um, so I put Halliday above him. I put Roy Halladay above him. And because Cole won a World Series, I will put Cole above him. But I think those are the only two guys I put above him from what I've seen.
Okay. Yeah. So how
I think I
far?
put Wheeler 3.
Okay. So how old are you, Mike?
33.
33. Okay, we're
Yeah.
sort of the same age.
Yeah.
Would you have Schilling in there?
No, because like it's like when for whatever reason when I think of Schilling, I don't think Phillies.
Me either. Yeah.
Like that, yeah, I just don't think Phillies
Yeah. I think of him primarily, that run
with
in
the Red
Arizona.
Sox and with
Right.
the Red Sox.
Yeah, and then the bloody sock and all
Yep.
that in '04.
Yep.
Even though he had spent a large chunk of his career here, and I do remember him being the
Right.
guy for the
Yes.
Phillies. He had so many like legendary moments after
Yep.
after leaving Philadelphia.
Yeah, and like I think enough times passed from Wheeler being with the Mets is like you think of Wheeler, and maybe because it's present, maybe in 20 years, who knows what people think of Wheeler, but like to me, Wheeler's a Philly.
Yeah, yeah,
Just is.
I would agree with that. I think I have him probably like I'd probably have him like 3. I would probably put Schilling above him just because of like the longevity and how good he was.
Yep.
And then I have Cole and Halladay ahead of him. Doc, Roy was one of my absolute favorite.
Oh, it was great.
Pictures.
So do you have like you don't have where do you have like Cliff Lee in that?
Man, I feel like I have Lee
Further down.
Like
Yeah.
probably in like that 5 range.
Yep.
I feel because like you said, like I think of like '08 was special for like with Cole because Cole was here and he was the top rotation guy and all that, and and then they like loaded those rotations years after and never got over the hump again. But I think of like I mean remember like Lee came and then left and then came back again.
Yeah. Yep.
It was a weird like kind of thing, even though like I don't blame him for that, but I think like I have him further down, like even though he was really good at times for the Phillies, I definitely have him further down the list. But yeah, no, I mean like I think that would be pretty consistent for people of our era to have those guys ranked in some order. But I think we definitely have to think about that now with Wheeler because I agree with you. I definitely think of him as a Philly more than a Met, and he was he's been far better in his time in Philadelphia than he was in New York. So, like that's not even close.
Yeah, I was just trying to compare. I'm looking at Baseball Reference right now, trying to compare kind of him and Schilling. And Schilling, when he was here for 9 seasons. I didn't even realize it was that long.
Yeah, he was
9 seasons. He was a 3-time All-Star, and there was one season where he was 4th Cy Young voting, whereas Zach Wheeler's been here for 6 years now. 2 All-Star appearances, but he was 12th in Cy Young voting 1 year, 2nd 1 year, and 6th another year, and then 2nd again. So he's kind of been nominated 4 different times, whereas Schilling was only once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I lied. Also, he was. Hold on. Zach Wheeler's been more than twice. No, I'm looking at Schilling. Never mind. Hold on. Wheeler. Yes, 2-time All-Star. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So it's it's. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably closer than I think, but I think I'll go Wheeler 3.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm thinking of anybody else.
Got Randy Wolf in there.
Yeah, I'm not putting Randy Wolf. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Wonder if I could, let's see if I'm missing anybody else. since the year what, in 1990, because like
Yeah.
before then, who cares? The top
I don't.
Phillies pitchers since 1990 included Cole Hamels, Kurt Schilling, Roy Halladay, Aaron Nola, and Zach Wheeler. I did not put Nola up with those guys at all,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where the list stops. So I don't. We didn't miss anybody.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I mean, the '90s were pretty brutal. I mean,
Oh, definitely.
for the Phillies. So, um, yeah, and I mean, Schilling was here in '93 when they went on that run. So he would have been the guy for that uh, for that run. But yeah, it's hard to think of anybody else other than those guys. And um, yeah, so I mean, like they're always fun to debate, and discuss,
Yeah.
those types of things. So that's why I wanted to bring
Yeah,
it up.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, where do you have him? Where do you have him? I guess all time, and not just pitching wise. Like, where do you have him player wise? In the last, like, you don't put him. I don't think you put him above like a Utley or a Howard. Like, where do you put him since I don't know the year 2000 among like Phillies position and position and pitchers?
I want to say like maybe in the 10-15 range. I feel like there's some of those guys you mentioned, like Howard and Utley, and those guys had so many iconic moments. Jimmy
Sure. Yep.
Rollins, um, you know. I would even add guys like since 2000. I mean, like I'd probably add like guys like Jim Thome in there.
Hmm.
Um,
Although I
uh,
don't really think of him as a Philly either. Like he's
no,
an Indian.
no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think of him that way too. I think, but because he was here, and it was a big deal when they got him. You
Sure.
know,
Totally. I
uh,
love Jim Thome. He was great.
yeah.
Okay, I
Uh,
guess here's a better question that's maybe easier to answer because like you don't have to think of a million different names at once.
mhm.
Who, and this could be a hot take depending on where you go with it. Who do you think has been the better Philly so far, Zach Wheeler or Bryce Harper?
Oh man, that's a
That's a
lot.
tough one. I'll be honest.
That's
It's
that's a lot closer
yeah,
than. I feel like if we're honest here, right, Mike? We tell the truth
yeah,
here.
sure. We're in the trust circle. Yep, absolutely,
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty good case. I mean, Bryce
totally.
is Bryce is obviously like a landmark addition, but I mean, as far as like you know, you don't go. I still believe that like it just is like a baseball fundamental. Like you don't go anywhere without pitching.
Yep.
Like you can't go anywhere without pitching. So Zach's he's been an anchor for that rotation at the top of the rotation for you know consistently and kind of quietly, but he's been very good. And if we were looking at that same like 5-6 year window, Bryce has certainly had his moments, but I mean
Yep.
other guys have had their moments too that they've locked in the contracts and stuff. I know Casty's had some moments, uh, and JT's had his moments as well. So no, I mean
Reese
that's a
Reese
lot.
Hoskins has had big moments, in
Yeah,
the
Reese.
playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, but there's like something about like it's not always like the flashy thing, but it's something you absolutely need to win.
Yeah,
It
and
is,
and I think it's something that like people don't really talk about is the fact that like nobody really expected what we got out of Wheeler to happen. Whereas like you expected Nola to kind of be the ace, that Wheeler to be the two, and because Nola wasn't what we thought he could be, that like it's much more important that Wheeler was the guy that stepped up because like, you needed one of them to.
right, right. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah, I'm still thinking about that Bryce question. That's a really that's a lot tougher than I
Sometimes I
think.
stumble onto these ideas. I don't know where they come from.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a good question. I think especially now because like I mean Bryce has had his fair share of like we kind of have to look at how we're going to get the most mileage out of this thing for the rest of this deal. I certainly wouldn't argue that. I saw people say too, like, where you put Bryce all time. like amongst like top Phillies. Like if you're talking about just like top Phillies of all time, you know, I remember when they signed him, I certainly thought like, oh, this has the potential, like he could be like the greatest Philly of all time.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know. He would certainly be in a discussion of one of the greatest, but I don't know
Mm.
that he upsets some of the guys that we've seen in the past. And then that goes back even further back through the years.
I was gonna say, like, he's not. I don't think he's gonna pass on Mike Schmidt. Like, I don't think that'll ever happen.
No, no,
Um, could he pass Chase Utley? Maybe. Jimmy Rollins? I don't know. Ryan Howard? Like, I'll take prime Ryan Howard over prime Bryce Harper, like any day of the week.
right, right.
Um,
I agree. I probably would too.
but it's tough for the whole Bryce Harper thing. Like, I don't. I've heard some kind of crazy takes of people saying they got to move on from Harper. Like, I think that's insane.
Right.
He's clearly banged up, and I think it's something that they're hopefully going to have to figure out and fix because like it seems like kind of a recurring issue with him. I've joked around in the past. I don't remember if it was on the pod or off the pod, but like saying that he's cooked. I don't think he's necessarily cooked.
Yeah.
They got to figure it out. But the one thing I will say is thank God they didn't give him that extension when like that was the whole big discussion
Yeah.
a couple seasons ago. Like, because you just don't know how things play out. Like,
Right.
let the contract play out, and then if you want to keep it going, keep the relationship going, sign him to a shorter, like that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's just with where things seem like they could be headed with him not staying on the field and always being banged up, like you couldn't give him that extension then. It would have been dangerous.
Right. Yeah. Especially too, like, I mean, the way baseball money has gone over the years, I mean, like, and the fact that there's like other leagues like try to like put some type of restrictions in place.
Yeah.
Like baseball has none of that. Like guys just
No.
get like absurd amount of money for,
And you could do it for like 20 years. Like
yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. Like there's like no cap on things. Like you can just, if you can afford it or you can afford to write the check, you know, um and you can strut, like I don't even know that there, it's definitely the most lax league in terms of like contract structure. I think like you can do whatever. Look at Otani's deal with the Dodgers. I mean,
I was
a
just
lot
about
of
to bring
that's
that. I was just about to bring up Otani. It's like
a lot of it's deferred. I think like he's
yeah, I was
getting
just saying,
that
when
later.
he's still going to be getting paid when my like great grandkids are in college. Like it's going to
Yeah.
be stupid.
Yeah. So I mean, and I mean, if you're the Dodgers, you're probably already like, yeah, worth it. Like
Right.
you
That
know what I
owner's
mean?
like, I'm not going to be alive when he sees that money. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, yeah, right. He's like, oh, who? That's gonna be someone else's problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You know, but it's funny, like, and that's one big thing that worries me. I was completely on board when, you know, whether it was Harper, Machado, or both, I was all in that
Mhm.
offseason. I was like, they have to go and get one of these two guys, if not both these guys. And you know, money, years didn't matter to me at that time, and you know, like that would have been dangerous, you know, considering what we know about these contracts and you know, just like baseball's such a grind. It's such a long season, and like you pick up so many like, you know, minute things that like just add up over, you know, the course of like a long arduous season. It's that's how it is, and you know, you have to somehow preserve like the rest of those years, or like just kind of try to keep him on the field as long as you can at a high level, you know,
Yeah.
because he, at some point he may be on the field, but we might not want him on the field. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so, but no, I definitely like in terms of legacy and things like that. I mean, his signing was definitely a landmark signing for the
Oh,
organization. The
definitely.
Phillies never really spent money like that. So it
No.
was like, it was really cool to see them do that. And bring in a really great talent. And, you know, we at least got one World Series appearance out of it, you know? So,
Yeah, and he had great moments during that run, right? Like
oh yeah.
the
Yeah.
Padres series was that all
Mhm.
Snell, the Braves. Like he was great that entire playoff, but
Yeah.
came up just short. And you know, obviously, you know they get back to the playoffs the season after that, and it just kind of falls downhill after that. Like I don't know. I don't. Obviously, the story's not finished, and the book's not written yet, so to speak. But I think they have to figure out a way to like kind of figure out this injury, how to get him healthy, whether that's surgery, take the year like or take the off season off and just get healthy. I don't know what the plan is. Who knows? But they have to figure that out. And then
Yeah.
next year, if you want to try him out at first base, you want to move him to DH, like you have to find a way to just keep his bat what you hope and expect it could be.
Yeah, because you know, like now, like with universal DH and things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
like it makes it a lot more like palatable to do that. Like where because guys like Bryce, like they only know how to play one way.
Yeah.
They're gonna play a million miles an hour, and he's gonna be out there diving and sliding
Mhm.
all over the place, and you know, um, so you have to kind of like save the player from himself to some degree,
He plays
especially
very.
when there's like
His
that.
body might break down, but he plays very hard. Like I'll give him that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like we saw that with guys like Chase and all. Like Chase played incredibly hard. It was his great hallmark of his.
Dude,
Um,
after I remember after I think it was after, unless I'm misremembering injuries, but I think it was like after the Tommy John, after he DH'd for a while, they announced he was going to bring him to first base. His like first or second game, he's diving into the bleachers like
yeah, yeah,
nuts. It's
yeah.
like, all right, calm down.
Yeah, like you gotta like think about it, like where
Yeah,
you're like, whoa, like buddy, like we view you as an investment here. Like you gotta
yeah,
like, you know, uh, but it's like it's like a lot of us have that thing, right? Like
sure,
where
yeah,
it's our greatest strength is also our biggest weakness. You
yep.
know what I mean? And um, so yeah, I mean, they have to find a way to preserve that, and all the more reason too. I mean, like you don't know how many times you're going to get like a real crack at a chance to get back. So, if there is an opportunity to make a clear cut, um, that's something that makes you better today or makes you tougher to play against in October, knowing that you're going to be there, you have to do it. And you have to. I mean, like, um, it's just something that when you're trying to you work all that time, like through whether it's like player development or whatever, like you work all that time to put yourself in a position to acquire somebody, you know, uh, of Bryce's caliber or like my or like a talent equivalent to that, so you can
Mhm.
go and compete for a championship. And it's just you know nobody cares, like uh, nobody cares, if the after the parade and all that. I mean, we might care after a couple years, but um, that it buys you a lot of goodwill
Yeah.
with fans. So
Are you watching this game right now? Did
I
you?
do not have it on right now.
I don't know what jerseys the Giants were wearing last night, but I was curious on your thoughts of these jerseys. I think
Uh,
we've gotten this might be a hot take. I think we've gotten too crazy with jerseys.
I don't think that's a hot take at all.
Okay, all right, okay.
I
It's a
think
cool
baseball is absurd with the things they're doing with jerseys now.
yeah, like a New Jersey every other day. It's
Yeah,
insane.
it bothers me. You know what bothers me? Like in championships, when teams wear alternate uniforms, it
Yeah, it
happens in
shouldn't
the
happen
NBA
either.
all the time. Like
Yeah, I don't
you
like
wear
that.
your traditional home and aways in the championship. You don't
Yes.
wear your city connect.
No.
I'll be.
Although didn't when the Phillies got to the World Series against the Astros, didn't they wear the powder blues?
They did.
I think they did. What were your
Yeah, they
thoughts
did.
there? The powder blues are so nice though. But what was your thought then?
All right, I might make a hot take right now. I
Let
am
it
not.
fly.
I am not a huge powder blue Phillies fan.
Really?
I'm not.
That is a big hot take.
No, I prefer the cream color uniforms, the day
See,
uniforms with the blue hats.
I don't like the cream. I don't like it.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah. I I prefer powder blue.
Yeah, I say all the time, if they could move the red pinstripe jerseys to the alternate and wear the cream color jerseys all year round,
No,
I'd
I
be
don't
on
like
it.
that. I don't.
I'd be in on that. I'd be in on it.
The red pinstripes is too iconic though.
I don't know. It's not like the Yankee pinstripes.
No, but I don't know.
Like that'd be different if the Yankees stop wearing like navy blue pinstripes.
Do they still wear they wear the creams like every Sunday, right? Or every Sunday day games or
Yeah,
something?
like I think they wear them just generally in day games.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, but when those came out, man, I was like, man, these are sweet, and like I've
They're
just
too
never.
boring for me.
Yeah, I
They're clean, don't get me wrong, but I don't know.
yeah, that's what I like about them. But if like
I'm a sucker for powder blue. Powder blue
yeah,
anything. I love it.
yeah, no, I've never been a huge fan. I didn't like when they wore the all maroon. I didn't like that.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm not a fan of that either. I'm with you there.
Although we did get a great shot of Andrew McCutcheon there
Yep.
in the powder blue or the all maroon jerseys, but
Hmm.
nah, nah, I'm not a huge powder blue person. But like the Philly, like the City Connects that they have now, the navy blue ones, like if they go to the World Series and they wear those, I'm gonna
You can't do
just
that.
kill me.
Yeah, you can't.
No,
You
I
can't do
just like if I gotta like if they do win the World Series and they're wearing those uniforms and I gotta see the clip over it, I'm gonna be like, why'd they have to wear those? They gotta
and I
wear
don't
their
even like those
regular.
jerseys, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
We've gone too.
they're nice jerseys, but like not for the Phillies.
Yeah, I gotta
Like
see what the Giants are wearing now that you said that.
and like
So I'm gonna have to check.
it's nothing crazy, but it's just it's real cartoonish, and it doesn't scream San Francisco Giant to me.
Is it the black one with the?
Yeah, yep, kind of
Yeah,
like a
no,
bubble
no, I don't
writing,
like. I
and
don't
then
like
like I don't know if they usually wear these hats. You can't tell
that.
because they're batting right now, but their hats are almost like tie dye ish. Like the
Yeah,
brim of it is like multicolored. I don't know. I don't know
no,
how I feel about it. I
no,
like I
you're
said,
right.
I've gotten too far with jerseys.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of gripes. If you wanna stay on here for another hour, I have a I don't know I have a lot of gripes about uniforms and things like that, especially baseball uniforms and stuff.
It's fun. I think it started in the NBA because like the
Yeah,
NBA went nuts with all like the what do they call them? Their City Connect version. They called like
uh,
there was a special name for it, but they had where like it seemed like every teams had like 6 jerseys a season.
I think they release new ones every year. They
Yeah,
get new alternates. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's very lucrative, but I
They call them
can't.
City Edition, not
City
City
edition.
City
Yeah.
Edition. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, no. And this I mean like the Sixers have had some hit or miss ones. Anything like you were saying like throwback stuff. Like we were just talking about the Phillies, like anything like Spectrum era for the Sixers, I love that.
yeah, I do like that as
I,
well.
I really like I really like that.
Although, is it real hard to bring back the Allen Iverson era logo and jersey? Is that hard? Is that like they should do that?
Well, I think that's what they're gonna do this
Do you?
year.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're planning to do another black jersey
Yep.
that'll will be that era. So um, that's
I
one thing
mean,
they haven't done. They did
no.
the Boathouse Row ones,
Yep.
and people didn't like those. I didn't like them.
Yeah, I just if and I get the appeal isn't for people outside of Philly, but if you're outside of Philly, you have no idea what that means.
Yeah,
No
right.
clue.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I like the simple like. I was really happy when the Sixers went back to the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Um, I thought just like such like for all intents and purposes, I mean the Sixers have a pretty great legacy and a pretty
Sure.
great history attached to the franchise, and a lot of those big moments came uh, wearing the red and blue. So I like when you know uh, I like that they went back to that.
Yeah.
So
For sure. All right, before we get out of here, because again, we don't have another hour to talk jerseys. We could if we wanted
we
to,
we
but
could. I mean,
I don't think we have an hour. Um,
just uniforms in general. I'll talk uniforms in general, especially for baseball.
yeah, yeah. Now we're gonna do it. Favorite baseball jersey, or favorite, or your top three, if you
Mm.
have them.
Mm.
I put you on the spot here.
Yeah, you did.
I'm trying to think of mine. I don't know that I really have any like hot takes.
Uh, so I
Or
love
you it doesn't even have to be baseball. It just could be all sports. Your top 3 or
just
5.
all.
Yeah, top
Okay.
3 or 5 in all sports.
Hmm. Favorite in all sports. I've always loved the classic Denver Broncos
The
jerseys.
first one popped in my mind, and I don't know if it's the one you're thinking of. It's like the John Elway era, like the burnt orange
Yes.
Broncos jersey. Yep,
Yep.
that's the one.
Yep.
Yep, that's the
That's a
one. The
really
first
good
one
one.
popped in my mind. Yep.
That's a good one. Um, I always really liked Detroit Red Wings jerseys, the
Okay.
red and white,
Classic,
the
and
winged
never really
wheel.
changed. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's really really sharp. Every iteration of it, I've always loved that jersey. Um, Baseball, like it sucks now because they're not there. But I always liked the Athletics and the green and yellow, the white
Okay.
ones. I'm not even a big fan of black jerseys, but even when they had the black alternate, I thought that was cool. Um,
I think the Orioles jerseys are really nice.
Orioles, yeah,
Yeah.
Orioles are good. Love the old logo, the
Yep.
old Orioles logo. And
But right now,
man,
I don't know if you're watching right now. Do you see the hat that he's got on?
no, I don't have it on
Oh,
here.
I thought you put it up. All right.
I have to.
Yeah. Now that they're in the field, it's easier to see. Um. All right, we can talk about jerseys another time because I
Yeah,
don't well it'll be a while. We'll prepare like we've done it on
yeah,
the show before, like probably a year or two ago. We've talked
yeah.
like top 5 jerseys. Um, so before we get out of here, since we're gonna be talking about trade deadline for the next handful of weeks until it gets here, kind of the latest rumors and speculation, and obviously we talked about the bullpen last week. Um, but it seems like this team also can't hit. Every other game, they're
Yeah.
scoring 1 run. So I guess really, there's not a whole lot of guys out there. The latest kind of I heard names are Luis Robert Jr., Byron Buxton, Eugenio Suarez. I like all 3 options if the price is right, but I'm not giving up. And listen, I know people might be down on Andrew Painter right now. He might be good, he might not be good. Like who knows? But like I'm not trading Andrew Painter for any of these guys. I'm not
No.
trading Adam Miller for any of these guys, and I'm not trading Justin Crawford for any of these guys because Justin Crawford should be a member of the Phillies currently as we speak. But that's probably a different argument for a different day.
Yeah. Um. So, are you coming from that perspective because you're not sure the Phillies are legitimate contenders, or you're just in on these guys, no, like thinking they're going to be like cornerstone guys?
Um, One, I don't know how much contenders the Phillies are. That's part of it. But another is like the guys that I just named, I don't think are guys that are like getting them over the hump. Whereas like I
Right.
don't think those guys are worth it. If you could bring a surefire all-star that's going to be here for a handful of years that has some team control, sure, trade. Well, I don't care what prospect you trade for that guy. Because like, when's the last prospect the Phillies traded that you're like, oh goddamn, they only traded that guy? Like maybe Logan O'Hoppe a couple years ago, but like other than that, like I can't think of one.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
prospect. See you
All.
later. Most of them, like they just don't pan out.
Yeah. A lot of guys too, like the Phillies have had high hopes for that they held on to tightly and eventually moved. Never went on to have like super productive careers. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like ones. J.P. Crawford, while he's never been a great bat, he's carved out a nice little role in with Seattle. Nice
mhm,
fielder.
yeah,
But other than that, I can't really think of any that they moved on from that like hit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we were talking before the show about like Byron Buxton, um, in Minnesota, and he's having a great year.
Great year.
And you don't know though. Like, I mean, you're not moving any of those guys that you had just mentioned for a Byron Buxton. So
I mean, he's 32 years old and he has a history of breaking down. Like he hasn't played a full season in like 9 seasons. Like
yeah,
his body breaks down, and he's having probably the best season of his career. But at any moment, he could just something could happen, and You get
Yeah.
hurt. Like, it's the type of player. He's 32 years old. Like I'm not trading my top 3 prospects for that guy.
He's 32 and he looks like he's 39.
Yeah, right.
So imagine how he's feeling, you know,
Yes. Yep. Yes.
especially in that Minnesota cold.
I can relate. 33, and I also feel much older than I am, so I can relate to that.
Yeah,
Buxton.
I mean, I feel pretty young, man. But yeah, no, I mean, we've ran through a few names on the last few shows, taught like discussing guys, and it comes down to that main underlining thing. I mean, like, I don't know. I have no problem going all in if I think like they were legit. Right,
That's
like
the thing is, do you think they're legit? Like that's the question.
yeah, I don't even know that they're better than the Mets, and
Yeah.
uh, it's great to have and although I think Painter just recently had a really good outing, I it may have even been tonight. I think it was he's in Lehigh Valley, right?
Yeah.
I think he was pretty good.
Okay. If it wasn't, I haven't seen it. I know the one before his last like couple, he's kind of had a rough time down there
Yeah,
so far.
yeah.
This
No, in general, he's
Yeah.
definitely had a rough time, but I think he had a pretty good outing. But yeah, I mean, like price is always depending on these guys, um, and it does feel like though this front office has to do something significant because they haven't had really great deadlines anyway in recent
Mhm.
years. It feels like there hadn't been enough. It kind of felt incomplete, um, and I'm okay with them kind of going the what would you call it? I'm okay with them going the cheaper route, provided the guy comes in and plays well. It's all dependent on whether the guy comes in and plays well or not. But
Okay, so this is Andrew Painter's stat line tonight in Lehigh Valley: 5 and a third innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 Ks, a walk, 96 pitches.
okay,
But he pitched into the 6th inning when he let up a 3-run home run. So he was after 5 innings, he only allowed 2 runs, which I guess is
right
it's decent, I guess. But
today, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So
But he seems like he's kind of getting that pitch count up. Like 96 pitches has to be the most he's pitched since he's returned from that injury, I would
yeah,
think.
yeah. Do you think we see him in
Nah,
September?
no.
No.
I would have said yes before the season or even early on in the season, but I think he's kind of struggled so much down there
Mm,
that I think they'll just let him kind of come into spring training and see what you got then.
right. Yeah, I'd have to take a better look at it, but I'm trying to think of guys for September. Maybe there's some internal options that can help.
Maybe you'll get him for a start, but I wouldn't count on anything. Like I think there's a better chance Abel comes back up than
Right,
Painter.
right. Yeah, yeah.
So, all right, you got anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got a lot of Jersey stuff.
Oh yeah, go for it.
No, okay. Just kidding. We will come back for a different show for that. I
We
think.
absolutely will.
Well, we'll have to add
There
that,
will
and
be
we're
plenty
also
of times.
our next episode's our 200th episode.
Big milestone, yes.
Big milestone. Congrats to the boys on that.
Yes. Dom will be on that one. I hope. I don't know where he is. He took a sabbatical from the show apparently.
In Hawaii.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's only how he's been off the show for a month. He hasn't been in Hawaii that long. I don't know what the hell
No,
he's
no. He missed everything. He missed the drafts. He missed.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He's been gone for a while.
He's got to get it together. He's got to come back.
Yeah. He'll be back next week for episode 200. And yeah, we'll have to see if we can plan something fun to do on that show, whether it's a trivia segment, which we haven't done in a while, or we'll have to do something fun for episode 200.
Yeah,
And that will take place next Tuesday. Like us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever the kids are calling it these days. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Check out the site, firesports.com. We'll see everybody next Tuesday for episode 200. See you then.